the descent.
Sacrifice yourself to...
Commands you, beneath God.
The movie begins on June 4th, 1987, where we meet a young boy who appears to be possessed by a terrifying demonic entity. A priest named Father Gabriele arrives to perform an exorcism and confronts the evil spirit hiding inside the child. Looking straight at the boy, Father Gabriele asks, "Who are you?" The voice that answers is dark and chilling. "I am a demon." When the priest demands to know its name, the demon refuses to reveal it. Instead, Father Gabriele orders the spirit to leave the boy's body and enter a pig that has been brought to the scene. "If you truly are a demon," he says, "prove it." A moment later, the demon obeys. It escapes from the boy and possesses the pig instead. Without wasting a second, Father Gabriele pulls out his gun and shoots the animal, forcing the evil spirit to flee. The possessed boy instantly returns to normal, proving that Father Gabriele is an exceptionally skilled exorcist. Soon afterward, Father Gabriele is summoned before the church council. The members question his actions during the June 4th incident, asking why he performed the exorcism without receiving official permission. Surprisingly, Father Gabriele tells them it wasn't an actual exorcism at all. According to him, the boy was suffering from a mental illness and only believed he was possessed. There was no real demon inside him. One of the priests agrees, explaining that not every strange case is caused by demonic forces. Most people they encounter are simply dealing with psychological disorders, while genuine possessions are extremely rare. Those words infuriate Father Gabriele. "So what are you trying to say?" he snaps. "Do you want me removed from my position? By denying the existence of demons, you're trying to destroy the very purpose of priests like us." Another member of the council then brings up the death of a young girl connected to one of Father Gabriele's previous cases. That accusation pushes him over the edge. Furious, he storms out of the meeting. The story then shifts to Julia, an American woman who has just arrived in Spain with her teenage daughter and young son, Henry. A year earlier, Julia's husband was killed in a tragic car accident. Henry had been in the vehicle too and survived, but the trauma left him completely mute. Since that day, he hasn't spoken a single word. With no stable source of income, Julia decides to renovate her late husband's ancestral home in Spain and sell it to support her family. They plan to stay there only temporarily while the repairs are being completed. However, Julia's daughter immediately feels uncomfortable in the old mansion and has no desire to stay. After arriving, Julia meets Father Esquivel, the local priest who has been looking after the property all this time. He tells Julia, "If you need anything, just call me." While exploring the house, Julia's daughter notices a strange symbol carved into one of the walls. It looks like the emblem of a massive church. Suddenly, the wall cracks open with a loud noise, scaring her so badly that she immediately runs away. Later, one of the construction workers also discovers the same mysterious symbol. Curious to know what's hidden behind the wall, he lights a small flame to look inside. But the moment he does, a massive explosion rips through the area. Sulfur gas had built up behind the wall, and the spark ignited it, causing a terrible accident. After witnessing the blast, the remaining workers become too frightened to continue the renovation and refuse to work any further. Meanwhile, something disturbing begins happening to Julia's son, Henry. He starts acting strangely, almost as if someone else has taken control of him. Even worse, he suddenly begins speaking in a terrifying voice that doesn't sound like his own. When Julia rushes to check on him, she hears what seems to be a demon speaking through Henry. Then, right before her eyes, Henry slices his own face. It turns out that when the worker lit the fire near the wall, he accidentally released a powerful demon that had been trapped there for years. And now that evil entity has possessed poor Henry. Desperate to save her son, Julia takes him to the hospital. The doctor examines Henry and tells her that he's suffering from severe trauma after losing his father and should be treated by a psychiatrist. Before she leaves, the doctor hands Julia a sedative injection, explaining that if Henry becomes completely uncontrollable, she should use it to make him unconscious. But Julia doesn't believe this is a psychological problem. Convinced that something supernatural is happening, she seeks help from Father Esquivel. The moment Father Esquivel enters Henry's room, the demon instantly attacks. An invisible force lifts the priest into the air and violently throws him across the room. In the next scene, we see Father Gabriele meeting with his superior. He's informed about Henry's case and told that a family in Spain desperately needs his help. The superior explains that the location itself has brought enormous trouble to the church in the past and warns Gabriele that the demon possessing the boy is extremely dangerous. Whatever he does, he must proceed with great caution. Following those instructions, Father Gabriele travels to Julia's house. However, one question keeps bothering him. What connection does the demon inside Henry have with the church? As soon as he arrives, Father Gabriele tells Julia that he wants to see the boy. The moment he steps into Henry's room, the demon bursts into laughter and mockingly says, "Come, come, I've been waiting for you." Father Gabriele carefully studies Henry and notices a sinister mark. Looking into the boy's eyes, he can almost see the demon staring back at him. He demands to know the demon's name, but it refuses to answer. In exorcism rituals, learning a demon's true name is extremely important because it makes controlling and banishing the entity much easier. Knowing this, the demon keeps its identity hidden. Instead, it taunts Father Gabriele, calling him a coward. Years earlier, Gabriele had served in the military but was removed from combat during a war. The demon tries to use that painful memory against him, but Gabriele remains unfazed. Then Henry suddenly opens his mouth and spits out the corpse of a dead bird. Even Father Gabriele is shaken by the horrifying sight. He steps outside and tells Father Esquivel and Julia that Henry isn't possessed by an ordinary spirit. The demon inside him is incredibly powerful, and performing an exorcism on it will be extremely difficult. If they fail to act quickly, Henry's life could be in serious danger. Gabriele also believes that the emotional trauma caused by his father's death made Henry vulnerable, allowing the demon to take control of him. The demon had clearly found a way to take advantage of Henry, but no one knew what it was actually trying to achieve by possessing him. Meanwhile, the evil spirit begins tormenting Julia's young daughter as well. Using the voice of her late father, Julia's husband, it speaks to her over the phone, making the little girl believe she's talking to her dad. It's obvious that the demon's plan is already in motion. At the same time, Father Gabriele and Father Esquivel prepare to perform an exorcism on Henry. But as soon as they approach him, the demon starts attacking them psychologically. It reveals secrets from their past, telling Father Gabriele, "A young girl died because of you," and mocking Father Esquivel by saying, "You call yourself a priest, yet you still commit sins." The words hit Esquivel so hard that he completely loses control and begins choking Henry. Father Gabriele quickly pulls him away, but the damage is already done. The exorcism is interrupted before it can be completed. After calming down, Father Esquivel finally opens up about his past. He admits that he once fell in love with a woman who never knew he was a priest. Their relationship went too far before he realized he had to walk away and dedicate himself fully to God. He believes the demon is exploiting the guilt and weakness he still carries inside. Sharing this painful secret with Father Gabriele brings him a sense of relief. Now it's Father Gabriele's turn to confess. He explains that during the war, every one of his comrades was killed, and that tragedy led him to become a priest. He then recalls his very first possession case, a young girl who claimed to be controlled by a demon. At the time, he dismissed her as mentally ill, but then she did something horrifying right in front of him. She swallowed a live bird. That terrifying memory is exactly why he was so shaken when Henry pulled a bird out of his mouth. Sadly, the girl later jumped from a rooftop and died. Even now, Father Gabriele is haunted by the thought that if he had believed her and performed an exorcism, she might still be alive. With that confession out of the way, Father Gabriele tells Father Esquivel to keep a close watch on Henry while he searches the house for clues about the demon. His investigation leads him to an old well hidden on the property. The opening is sealed with an ancient mark belonging to the church. When he removes the seal and looks inside, he discovers a horrifying sight: a pit filled with countless human skeletons. At the same time, back at the church, Gabriele's superior is seen carefully studying an old book, unaware of the terrifying truth that is about to come to light. After reading the ancient text, Father Gabriele discovers something terrifying. The demon haunting the abbey is incredibly powerful. Unlike ordinary evil spirits, it can possess multiple people at the same time. As he studies the book, Father Esquivel suddenly starts feeling weak and ill. Taking advantage of the situation, the demon controlling Henry tricks him into coming closer. The moment Esquivel arrives, Henry violently cuts off his own ear. He then hurls Julia's daughter across the room, before throwing Julia onto the bed and wrapping his hands around her throat, trying to strangle her. Just in time, Father Gabriele rushes in and saves them all. Realizing they need answers, Gabriele takes Esquibel back to the hidden chamber, where he had previously discovered the mysterious skull. He explains that centuries ago, when many Jews were forced to convert to Christianity, those who refused were imprisoned in this underground place as punishment. As they venture deeper inside, they come across a massive door marked with the exact same symbol Julia's daughter had seen earlier. Once they force it open, they are greeted by a horrifying sight. A room filled with countless human skeletons. One skeleton is locked inside an iron cage, still wearing a ring that identifies him as a priest. Near the cage, they discover a key that unlocks another sealed door. Beyond it lies the remains of one of the greatest priests the world had ever known. Gabriele realizes the awful truth. A terrifying demon had once possessed many people here, and this was the place where desperate exorcisms were performed. But the ritual had failed. The demon was simply too powerful to control, and it slaughtered everyone involved. After the tragedy became known, the entire site was sealed away to keep the evil trapped forever. Now, Gabriele suspects that the entity possessing Henry is that very same demon. Just imagine how dangerous it must be. Unfortunately, because of a worker's mistake, the prison was accidentally opened, allowing the demon to escape once again. Even worse, Henry was never its true target. The demon entered him only to reach Father Gabriele, hoping to possess him instead and use his authority to commit horrific acts in the name of God in the church. Continuing to study the ancient book, Gabriele uncovers another chilling revelation. Similar ancient demons exist all across the world, and this creature is one of them. At last, he learns the demon's true name, and the instant the demon realizes Father Gabriele knows its name, everything changes. Driven completely insane, the demon's next target becomes Henry's sister. When Julia rushes in to protect her daughter, the possessed Henry violently throws the little girl aside and turns his rage toward Julia, determined to kill her. But in a desperate moment, Julia's daughter grabs the injection the doctor had left behind and plunges it into Henry. The sedative kicks in almost instantly, knocking him unconscious and saving Julia's life. With Henry restrained and tied up, everyone begins performing an exorcism through prayer. But the demon finally reveals its terrifying true power. It suddenly possesses Julia's daughter, who crawls onto the ceiling as if gravity no longer exists. The evil spirit then threatens Julia once again, before turning to Father Gabriele with an offer. "Surrender to me, and I'll spare everyone's lives." Seeing that everyone around him is in mortal danger, Father Gabriele reluctantly agrees. The demon immediately releases its grip on the others, giving Father Esquibel the chance to tell Julia and her children to escape while they still can. Esquibel chooses to stay behind and help Father Gabriele face the evil alone. The demon abandons Henry's body and enters Gabriele instead. Knowing the monster will force him to commit unspeakable acts, Gabriele tries to end his own life by hanging himself, but the demon won't allow it. Instead, he begins coughing up blood as the possession grows stronger. Desperate, Gabriele heads to the exorcism chamber and attempts to burn himself alive. Esquibel rushes in just in time and begins chanting powerful prayers. But the demon strikes back by conjuring the image of the woman Esquibel once loved. Covered from head to toe in blood, she attacks him mercilessly. At the same time, Gabriele is haunted by the vision of the young girl whose death has haunted him for years. Esquibel presses a cross against the girl's forehead, causing her horrifying illusion to tear apart before disappearing. He then hands the cross to Gabriele, freeing him from her grip as well. Together, the two priests continue the exorcism with renewed strength and finally banish the demon back to hell. As the evil spirit vanishes, Gabriele's injured head is miraculously healed. Afterward, both priests are honored for their courage and praised for defeating the ancient evil. But their victory is short-lived. Another priest arrives with chilling news. There are still 199 hidden locations across the world where these demonic forces remain active, and someone must destroy them all. And with that ominous revelation, the movie comes to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.